The concept of fate has long been a pivotal element in both Greek and Western thought, influencing cultures, philosophies, and individuals' perceptions of their place in the universe. In Greek thought, fate, often personified by the Moirai or Fates, three powerful deities who controlled the destiny of all beings, represented an inescapable and predetermined series of events that even the gods could not alter. Western ideas about fate have evolved over centuries, blending elements of Greek philosophy, religious beliefs, and existential musings. Generally, fate in the Western context can be seen as a force that shapes the course of events in an individual's life, yet often allows room for free will and human agency, unlike its ancient Greek counterpart. The significance of understanding fate under these paradigms lies in the exploration of whether humans are merely actors following a script or have agency to alter their destinies. Such exploration is crucial in evaluating the ethical and existential questions of autonomy, responsibility, and human choices, topics that resonate deeply with the question of fate as a curse or cure. For instance, Oedipus from Sophocles' tragedy represents Greek fatalism, where despite attempts to evade destiny, he fulfills the prophecy. Conversely, Shakespeare's portrayal of fate in Macbeth suggests a more intricate dance between fate and free will, where the characters seem to have a hand in their eventual downfall through their actions. Yet, there are contrasting opinions and complexities. Some philosophers argue that the belief in predestined fate can lead to fatalism, a passive acceptance of events that strips individuals of accountability. This idea clashes with modern Western values that emphasize self-determination and the power of personal choice. On the contrary, others suggest that a belief in fate can provide comfort, offering a sense of order and reason in the chaos of existence. Alternative viewpoints question whether fate is a human construct devised to explain randomness and misfortune, challenging the notion as an outdated belief incompatible with scientific rationalism. In this context, fate might be seen less as a cosmic force and more as a psychological tool to make sense of life's unpredictability. This understanding of fate connects deeply with broader discussions on the central theme of whether fate is a curse or a cure, influencing perspectives on human freedom, ethical responsibility, and the sense of meaning people derive from their life narratives. By examining how Greek and Western cultures perceive fate, we gain insights into enduring human questions about control, destiny, and the ultimate balance between fate and free will. The concept of fate in Greek mythology is a profound narrative thread that weaves through ancient stories, embodying the belief in a predetermined destiny that governs the lives of gods and mortals alike. In Greek mythology, fate is often represented by the Moirai, or the Fates, three goddesses who control the destinies of all beings. This triad spins, measures, and ultimately cuts the thread of life, symbolizing the unchangeable nature of one's destiny. Within this framework, fate is a cosmic force that overrides personal choice, suggesting that the path of every individual is pre-written and inevitable. The significance of fate in Greek mythology is emblematic of the broader dichotomy between human agency and predestination, a central theme in both classical and contemporary discussions about fate. It raises questions about free will and responsibility, underscoring a sense of existential powerlessness before larger cosmic forces. This perspective invites contemplation on whether one's actions can genuinely alter their fate, or if attempting to do so merely fulfills the very destiny they attempt to avoid. Two famous examples illustrate the concept of fate in Greek mythology: the tales of Oedipus and Achilles. Oedipus, fated to kill his father and marry his mother, takes every measure to avoid this destiny, but his actions inadvertently lead him to fulfill the prophecy. Similarly, Achilles is forewarned that he can live a long, uneventful life or die young with everlasting glory. His choice to participate in the Trojan War, even after knowing his fate, exemplifies the allure and curse of predetermined paths. Scholars and philosophers have long debated these narratives. Some argue that they reflect an acceptance of fate as an indomitable force, while others interpret them as cautionary tales about the dangers of hubris and the limits of human understanding. Conversely, some modern interpretations challenge the rigidity of fate by emphasizing characters' choices and moral obligations despite their predestined outcomes. This entwined relationship of fate and free will in Greek mythology continues to influence broader Western thought, fueling discussions on determinism and existentialism. Throughout history, this has sparked philosophical debates about the legitimacy of fatalism versus the human capacity for choice and change. Despite the deterministic view portrayed in myths, alternative viewpoints propose that understanding one's fate can empower individuals to navigate their lives with greater awareness and intentionality. Thus, the historical perspectives of fate in Greek mythology provoke an enduring dialogue within Western culture, a discourse that extends beyond mythology into broader ethical, philosophical, and socio-political contexts, reflecting the tension between determinism and the pursuit of individuality and freedom. Philosophical interpretations of determinism and free will are central to understanding the concept of fate as viewed by both Greek and Western perspectives. Determinism is the philosophical doctrine that all events, including moral choices, are determined by previous events in accordance with the natural laws. This implies that individuals have no real ability to change the future, as it is preordained. In contrast, free will suggests that humans are capable of making genuine choices that can influence their future, emphasizing personal agency and responsibility. The significance of determinism and free will in the context of fate is profound. In Greek philosophy, fate was often seen as an unavoidable force, as illustrated by characters in tragedies like Sophocles' Oedipus Rex, where attempts to avoid fate only lead one closer to it. This deterministic view suggests that humans are powerless against the fixed path laid out by the fates. On the other hand, Western philosophy, particularly with the rise of Enlightenment thought, places greater emphasis on free will, valuing human reason and the capacity to shape one's destiny. Examples of determinism and free will can be observed in various real-world contexts. In the realm of psychology, behaviorism posits that human actions are determined by past conditioning, aligning with deterministic views. Conversely, existentialist philosophy, as promoted by thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, argues for radical free will, suggesting that human beings create their essence through choices. These perspectives are reflected in legal systems too, where the debate over determinism and free will influences perspectives on criminal responsibility and moral accountability. Supporters of determinism may point to advances in neuroscience, suggesting that all thoughts and actions are products of neural processes governed by the laws of physics. Meanwhile, proponents of free will argue for the moral and ethical necessity of personal accountability, which aligns with subjective human experiences of making choices. However, the debate is not without its controversies. Advances in science challenge the notion of free will, raising questions about moral responsibility if all actions are predetermined. This clash fuels ongoing discussions about the basis of ethical behavior and societal norms. The interplay between determinism and free will deeply influences human perspectives on fate. It shapes philosophical discourse, ethical considerations, and even religious doctrines, highlighting the tension between accepting life's predetermined path and the desire for autonomy. Understanding this dynamic enriches the exploration of fate as either a curse, condemning one to a predetermined course, or a potential cure, offering the freedom to forge one's path. The concept of fate in Western literature is a powerful and multifaceted theme that explores the notion of a predetermined course of events that is often beyond human control. In this context, fate refers to the idea that the lives of individuals and the occurrences in the world are orchestrated by a higher power or binding force, frequently leaving humans powerless to alter their destined path. This concept of fate is significant because it invites readers to ponder the extent of free will versus predestination and challenges them to consider how these forces influence human actions and life outcomes. In Western literature, the exploration of fate is often depicted through complex narratives and character arcs. One prominent example is William Shakespeare's tragedy Macbeth, where fate is symbolized by the prophecies of the three witches. Macbeth's ensuing actions to fulfill the prophecy lead to his downfall, suggesting an inescapable nature of fate and its potential to orchestrate one's doom. Another example is Thomas Hardy's Tess of the d'Urbervilles, where fate manifests through a series of unfortunate events that, despite Tess's efforts, ultimately lead her to a tragic end. Both examples illustrate fate's potential as a curse, binding characters to inevitable outcomes despite their desires or attempts to change their trajectories. Critical opinions highlight that fate in these narratives serves to underscore human limitations and provoke existential reflection. Advocates suggest that such literary explorations deepen our understanding of human nature by illustrating the tension between destiny and agency. However, this depiction also encounters challenges. It raises philosophical debates about determinism and free will, and whether individuals are truly the architects of their destiny or merely players in a predetermined script. Controversially, some argue that overemphasis on fate can undermine human effort and resilience by promoting a fatalistic worldview. Others contend that it provides comfort by framing life's uncertainties within a narrative of meaning and order. These divergent interpretations demonstrate that fate in Western literature is not only a thematic device, but also a catalyst for broader philosophical inquiry into the nature of existence. Moreover, the concept of fate as depicted in Western literature deeply connects to the overarching theme of curse or cure, by prompting audiences to explore the dual nature of fate, as a guiding force that can simultaneously lead to enlightenment and despair. It raises essential questions about personal accountability, morality, and the universal search for purpose, seamlessly intertwining with other cultural perspectives on fate, such as those found in Greek literature.